Guess who's back? Nick is back. We're all three back. And we are live on the YouTubes. I will tweet it out, twat it out, shout it out. Hey, Nick, welcome back.
Thanks. Was I here? I was here last week, right?
Yeah,
Was I here last week? I was here last week. Yeah.
I don't think so.
I don't know.
It was week before last. You were here.
Yeah.
You had.
Yeah. What was that? Oh, spring, Easter, spring break. Yeah.
We are all.
I'm losing track of time.
Back. It's okay, Nick.
Getting older, Getting older.
Hey, how now that you've had another week of being off grid to some degree, what do you think about these markets here, bud?
Honestly, I did not. I'm definitely positioned long, but I definitely did not expect I guess maybe the strength that we got last week or in some of the stuff that we saw. I still think there's a lot of good looking setups out there. I've been hoping
cybersecurity looks awesome.
Yeah, PANW or PANW, definitely my fave and top of the list. I guess I was just kind of more or less hoping we'd work off some of the overbought readings. Again, like the McClellan's really the only one that I really follow in particular.
McClellan,
which we're getting pretty close to kind of more of a neutral reading. I think we close of the week at plus 95. So anyways, yeah, I mean the Qs and the SPYs closed the week out both with a 3-week tie at above the 10-week. All the moving averages that we like to watch are stacked. I'm definitely
first 3 WT drink.
Yeah. So I was kind of saying, I don't know who I was, yapping with last week. I do feel like we're gonna approach a time or an inflection point here where you're not going to have a choice but to chase if you're not positioned right. I don't think that I'm not in the bearish camp, obviously. So what about you guys?
Hi, GP.
What up?
Welcome to the show.
It's been a while, huh?
Yeah, we gave Nick a full 2.5 minutes there.
I know. That's all he gets. He's done.
See you next week, Nick.
I'm a simple guy. Like I like to say that I'm not that intelligent. I just try to follow the bars and I do that the best I can. So,
But you don't need a ton of intelligence in this game. You need a lot of emotion.
Absolutely. Or at least a good handle on it for sure.
So
I was gonna actually kind of bring up the XLE at one point.
Oh, we are going to go there already, my friend.
I don't have any positions. Actually, I take that back. I do have I put on a small position in Oxy, but I'm underwater on it currently. But other than that, like I just looking at it's hard because like I'm looking at the monthly and we put in a huge doji last month and we're just basically at last month's high. The monthly MACD is about ready to cross and roll. The weekly I don't even like that much. The daily I kind of like. I'm for me personally, I'm like, you know what? like what am I even doing, even thinking about, commodities or, energy, whatever. Like I think there's better setups elsewhere. I only bring it up just because I'm curious. It's been obviously a hot topic for us over the past. So I don't know.
Yeah. So it closed above the weekly 20, right? Which the Qs and the XLE were kind of following the same path, just 1 year behind. And the difference was the Qs rejected back-to-back weeks of the 20 SMA and then just died. XLE got that mean reversion bounce back to the 20-week moving average and didn't die. It turned up. So it's still declining. So I'll keep an eye on it. Volume isn't there to sustain it, but maybe people. So my whole process is, if you think market is going to crash, how are you bullish XLE, right?
Sure.
Or oil or anything else, right? Just because they did cuts. So if you're in the bearish camp and bullish energy, I'm so confused. Because the bearish camp is, we haven't even seen the earnings recession play out. So another 60% down from here in the markets, and XLE is just going to ho-hum all the way to all-time highs and beyond. People can't have jobs, can't feed their families, but oil spending, sure, they're just going to drive everywhere. They're gonna just fly everywhere. It's gonna be no issues. So that's the part that I don't get. But it defied what I thought was gonna happen. So I'm wrong, right, on XLE as of now. We'll see what this happens with this move. It gapped up. It looked like it was gonna break down, and then it continued to move higher. So
And
as
the
of now,
futures are up right now on the CL. I mean, I've been so wrong on everything energy for so long that it's kind of laughable to me, really. But this is the one time that I look for why is this doing this, right? And we can go back to the XLE.
And XLE and oil are definitely divergent, right? They've been divergent for well over a year.
Yeah.
But you guys know I don't look at volume a lot, but how does volume get smaller and the price keep going higher? And what does that mean? And everything that I have put together in my history is right. GP, you'll be saying, finally, you're listening to me, but declining volume doesn't usually end out in a bullish scenario. So like I'm not going to back away from saying that I think that it still looks lower to me, because I still think it does. But as we talked about a few weeks ago, when these cuts came in, like we talked about XLE and crude, the CL, like it can bounce around a little bit. There's some room. So we'll see how it plays out. Like,
yeah,
we've talked about this area right here around 90, that if it can stay above that and sustain that, like that's a big spot on the XLE and on the oil side, right? Like we're a long way away from where oil was back in, a year ago. So I just, the two things have diverged. The volumes don't add up. And when I have conflicting signals, we've all heard me talk about conflicting signals long enough. It's hard for me to buy into a bullish case.
Agreed. And I think for me, it was, I saw the death of oil coming. It was very slow, but I saw it coming. And around 66, I think it was like 68, 69. I was like, we'll probably tag 66 and then have a nasty reversion bounce. And we got the nasty reversion bounce. And I was then expecting the sell-off to begin. And it hasn't happened yet. Now we've had 3 weeks above the weekly 20, which is now rising. So maybe there is no sell-off. Maybe the fact that we're not going into a recession is what's playing out here, right?
Yeah, like that's absolutely possible. Yep.
So like I said, I'll admit that I saw the decline coming. I saw the reversion coming. I even saw the bounce coming, but I did not expect it to maintain or keep the bounce, right? So And when you get new data, you have to
Yep.
change your position. And that data right now is telling me, okay, maybe there's something else here. And that makes me, you know what, I'm all week or last month or last 6 months, I'm like, dude, every week we keep getting more data that's stacking to the bull thesis, whether it plays out in a week, 10 weeks, 6 months, whenever they let this market go, everyone thinks we're going to get capped at 4,200, 4,300 or whatever, right? And that's it. And then we're going to go lower because that's what they're all expecting. And I'm like, yo, look at what oil just did. It had the bounce and then it didn't break down. So what is that telling you? That's telling you that the consumer is resilient, right?
Mhm.
And
Absolutely.
maybe your recession is right, but your timing is off. So like that's the one thing that stuck out to me hard on oil all week, right? I'm not even talking about XLE, I'm looking at the commodity
Yep.
itself. So that's one thing I'll pay attention to. And that's another reason for me to be even more bullish, because if oil is maintaining its ground, then dude, most everything else will be, because people are spending.
And like we mentioned, I mentioned a few weeks ago, right, when we first had these cuts happen, like we're getting into the largest consumption part of the year for petroleum, right? So I think as a whole, like demand shouldn't be slowing down over the next 4 to 6 months at all.
Yeah, and so why cut, right?
Well, yeah, a cut increases price, right, of supply and demand.
Yeah, but if you're thinking, OPEC doesn't usually cut knowing that demand's going to increase, right? Like they usually cut when they know demand is going to decrease. So it's conflicting because oil is maintaining its upside, but their actions represent something that's somewhat bearish. So there's still a lot of conflicting information in this piece, and that I think that's what I found intriguing to the whole conversation for me. But to be honest, it has not broken the range that it based in. If you look at oil, I think on, when was it, when it had the breakdown candle, mid-November, right? So from end of November, the high was 80.
89.
Well, I'm looking at light sweet, not Brent crude. So, but it's all the same, but it hasn't broken that range. So maybe it'll break down this week. Maybe it won't at all. So it's something to watch, because I think the movement here is going to be important for the rest of the markets.
So in terms of setups, at least in the space, what are you kind of in a similar mindset as in like gold, waiting until highs get get taken out? Or
so for me, what's kind of intriguing is you talked about Oxy, right?
yeah,
Oxy back to back. So oil didn't reject the weekly 21, but Oxy did. Back to back weeks of rejecting the 20-day. It tried twice to get over it and both got rejected. So my other part is, maybe this is the oil is going to maintain where it's at, but the divergence that XLE had to oil is now going to catch up to it, right?
sure.
So just something to watch. I did notice that the bifurcation a bit there, and to me it still looks like the Amazon chart from 2020 to 2022. And two separate week attempts on very low volume and couldn't break over the 20-week moving average. So everyone thinks Buffett is going to save Oxy, because Buffett has never had any losers. But there's plenty of hedge funds that own Amazon, and that didn't save them either.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
I don't like the way XOM looks. If you look at all these, they look really extended and struggling to kind of move higher, right? Like
it does feel like churning a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And
think
maybe it's churning because it's waiting for
the recession to not be a recession and oil actually breaks out. Maybe that's what's happening here. But the serious lack of volume on these up moves is really like, as of now, just stay away until there's an actual
How,
break.
Sway? How?
Yeah, I would agree. Oxy, in terms of just looking at like the dailies, Oxy, XOM, and EOG are kind of the three that I'm kind of just watching.
Yeah.
The
dude, EOG both two weeks in a row rejected the weekly 20 as well, right?
Yeah.
So you had your mean reversion bounce, and it's rejecting a fairly known moving average on a weekly basis. So something to keep in mind. I'm not saying you can't break out, because it's been a very frustrating.
Yeah, you're late. I mean, you're late to, regardless, you're late to the party here. Like that your entries in energy were, you know, the last couple of years basically. And so it makes sense whether or not like energy moves higher out of here. It makes sense that we're going to have, you know, churning volatility, sideways action up here. To me, anyway.
And look at MRO too, right? MRO is another one that I was looking at. I looked at all the components, the top 8 components of the XLE, and MRO had a 20 to 50 cross down, which is not a bullish sign at any point. And then you have back-to-back rejections of the 20-week, right? On the pop of OPEC cuts. So all your stocks on the XLE are doing the opposite of oil, which is even more interesting.
Yeah.
Right. So like, it wasn't just Oxy.
You know, previously you were in the camp that it was distribution up here. And I guess I'm not saying I agree or disagree, but in terms of these moves higher on lighter volume, that would reaffirm my belief that we're in a distribution phase, or again, we're still kind of chopping around up here.
And that's what
like I wouldn't want to see, like looking at like the down waves off the highs, they're all on high volume, and none of the moves higher in anything that I'm seeing is on significantly higher volume.
Guilty even until proven innocent.
Yeah, right. That's why I say like XOM, I feel like is kind of my favorite in terms of just where it's sitting. Like it's so close to highs here, and it's just kind of moving sideways. But I mean, either way, it needs the sector as a whole.
Then the other signs that are showing up, right, Nick? It's these companies that are, you know, I'm going to be cash flow this, and I'm amazing, and I'm making all this money, are now looking at acquisitions as a growth strategy, right?
Yeah, right.
That's usually a sign that, oh crap, my organic growth is kind of gone, and let me see what smaller players I can take over to. And so I'm seeing a lot of that kind of chatter too. And that's stuff that's usually happening towards the end of cycles. So, but it hasn't broken down. So as of now, every dip keeps getting bought no matter what. So,
we will find out next week when all the major companies have earnings.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt.
And if you look at, what was the other two I was looking at? CVX.
Yep, that's what I just had up.
Oh, and DVN.
Yeah.
Right. That doesn't look great.
Doesn't look
at
great.
If you look at all that red candles, those are pretty intense red candles, and but they're not letting it break down, right? So in my view, that's distribution. They're selling, and then once they get to a point where they're like, oh no, this is not worth selling anymore, they let it climb back up, and then boom, sell it again, and then boom, sell it again. So those are typically distribution patterns.
Yeah. All right. Well,
guilty until proven innocent, I say.
Yep. So there's just no play there for me, Nick, if you're asking.
Yeah, and I was just curious thoughts.
Since we're pissing off everybody in the oil patch, let's talk about gold and piss off the gold bugs.
Oh, one more oil company that I wanted you to take a look at is look at COP, ConocoPhillips, right? And so this has a bit heavier volume on the sell side. So
Devin looks much worse.
yeah, but this is Anyway, it's just
Yeah. Yeah.
all right. Let's go to gold. Let's talk all commodities.
I mean, there's been a whole lot of chest thumping from our gold bug friends out there in the world.
It's definitely it's stair stepping, and it's still holding the 20-day. But yeah,
looks like it's running out of steam.
Yeah,
that looks like a bear flag.
Looks like it's running out of steam to me.
Well, if you take a look at it weekly, those are 3 consecutive lower pivots as of now.
Yeah. 2 weeks ago, it had a nice kind of 3-week tight above like 181, 182.
But look how overextended it is too, right?
Yeah,
like
sure.
It is on the weekly, it is way overextended. So you should expect some cool down. The daily does not look fantastic. That there you can see the rolling over of the stochastics and the RSI even more pronounced.
And everyone's in the trade, right? It's a heavy
Yeah,
trade.
it's so crowded right now.
So and the volume to get up there, if you're looking at like gold futures or GLD, the volume to get to this move and not break through all-time highs is like crap. So my consensus theory on gold still stands. Wait for the damn all-time high.
Yeah, right. Anyway, I just, I finally got my big week down on Boeing. So I can take it off of my hate it this week and shift into gold. Like gold would be what I would say is going down further. Anyway.
If you go to the BA, it looks like your potential final shakeout candle in the process. I don't like the management MBA. They continue to fumble the ball on the 737. They diluted the hell out of their company all through COVID because in 2019, when they needed to make the tough decisions on the 737, they just didn't, and then they got smacked with COVID. So
I don't think this is the shakeout candle. I think this is we're going to keep on going candle.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm going.
Breaks that 196 level. Yeah, I would agree with you. But right now it's flagging above the pivot high from March 22.
Yeah, I mean, if it bounces back and it's back above, 208 this week, then it's it's a different color, right? Like you can't really be as bearish if it comes back with a whipsaw comeback like that. But if it breaks that 195 area, so long, see you later.
Technically already broke the weekly 20 the first time since October. So you might actually be right. I personally think Boeing stock is dead for another decade, right? I don't think this, like, you can trade the ranges, whatever, if that's what you're doing. But if you want to be investment, I don't think they're going to need a lot to ever get back to all-time highs. Did they reintroduce their dividend yet?
I have no idea.
Yeah, exactly.
No clue. All right. So we've made the oil.
We gotta move on to the dollar and then into crypto then.
We've made
so the
Boeing mad, we've made gold mad.
No more. I'm done with this crap, right? Like every time it tries to look like it's gonna break down, shit just stops breaking down. So the dollar.
The fucking dollar. I mean, dollar, just keep on going, baby. Just keep on sliding.
Lower lows, all the moving averages are rolling over. Dollar can have bounces and stuff, but I personally think it's going to 92. That's where I think it's
going to 92. Whoa, that's way down here.
Dude, that's parabolic though. Parabolas return to mean.
Yeah, I would agree. If it slips below there and back in the range, I'm in the camp that it's heading back to the low end of the range too.
Yeah. So if you look at all the parabolas, look at NVIDIA massive parabola.
I'm not arguing that it can't go lower. I'm not saying it's going to stay here. Just you didn't hesitate. It's like we're playing spades and you just went bow 92.
But dude, I've been dollar bearish since October, right? So dollar bearish and oil bearish, right? It just didn't make any sense to me. So it's gotten to the level where I thought it was going to get to. I think it's going to struggle here because this is a big horizontal pivot, but eventually it's going to 92.
All right.
And by eventually I mean within the year, I think, but that's me.
Yeah, I mean, I still think it can slip and slide, right? Like it can do one of these numbers before it gets there. Right? Like it can. Where's my chart here? There's my chart. Get off the daily. I mean, it can absolutely do this, right? Get down there, 92. Anyway,
so can we talk about the stuff that we actually care about, like the
Tesla and Elon being a big old.
What happened with him?
Nick, you gotta stand up for your boy.
What did something happen?
No,
it's just my feelings there. I'm just trying to provoke you.
I mean, I don't have a position in Tesla. It's definitely a stock that I trade actively though. And so
it's a great trader.
Yeah, I wasn't too happy with its lack of involvement on Thursday, Friday. And I really didn't like that kind of huge down bar on Wednesday.
Nobody liked Wednesday's moves.
Yeah, so
I did. Take it back.
I think if that for a long entry, I would be using that bar as kind of my either long. I'm not looking to short Tesla, no, really, unless we saw like significant weakness in the overall market. But on a long entry, I'd be looking to enter over 191. Ultimately, I want to see it get through 200, 220. It's like 200-day moving average. From there, I think it's got to. If it can get through its 200-day, I think it sees 300 pretty fucking quick.
We're just holding on to that weekly 200. It ain't no thing. Just riding it.
But yeah, I like how it's kind of moving sideways here.
Dude, the amount of volume that came in around that low is like that's insane volume.
Yeah,
right? Like
absolutely.
That's
and it's not what you like. I would agree with the bears that where it's pausing right now is it's kind of pausing right underneath kind of the neckline of like of that big massive monthly or weekly head and shoulders. But the thing is again, to your point, the volume, like we rallied off that 100 level so hard and now we're just moving sideways. I don't think that's what you would necessarily want to see if you were bearish Tesla. You'd want to see it kind of like just creeping up to the neckline on lower volume.
And
and we're seeing the opposite.
It didn't make a new pivot low off this rejection. Yeah. It's holding the 200-week moving average. It's still growing at a fairly decent range. A lot of volume has come in here. Typically, Tesla is a earnings premium collector. So I don't know if earnings is going to be the one that breaks it out. But it's constructive. You have both the 20 and the 50-day moving average rising, right? Not falling like it did the last time. So you have a lot of things going on here. the last time I think earnings broke out Tesla in a meaningful way was October 2019, right?
Was it?
Yeah,
I'll take your word for it.
I think it went from 220 to like 320 on earnings. It was nuts.
October 2019.
And then the chase began after that, right? So
Split adjusted at 27%.
yeah. Oh, 27%. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I believe that was all post earnings too, right? So it wasn't like they ran it up and then ran it up more post earnings.
Wow.
It's neutral, I would say. Tesla with slightly a bullish bias. They have a lot of catalysts in the pipeline. So, and what's one of the most powerful setups in the market? A failed head and shoulders.
Indeed.
Speaking of failed head and shoulders, shall we talk about JP Morgan?
JP Morgan, Jamie Dimon.
Because they actually raised their guidance.
Yeah, they really were. Them some bad boys over there. I mean, look at that big old fuck you candle.
Go to the monthly. Everyone sees the head and shoulders on the monthly, right? That's.
I mean, yeah, I see what you see.
It's a creative way to draw one, but yes, it's a head and shoulders.
Yeah, there's a lot of people drawing it, and
it's a sloppy ass one.
Yeah, and they just said, yeah, I don't think that's going to be an issue. So, why I talk about this is because when you have a failed head and shoulders pattern, it tends to be insanely bullish, right? It's and if banks for 5-6 straight weeks, it's held the 2008 highs XLF, like without breaking under once. I think they're tipping their hands. Maybe next week everything dies, as I say every week. But as of now, dude, they're already tipping their hands. And
Jamie's saying we're coming for 200.
Yeah, and I think this is probably one of the few times that many companies outside of like SIVB or SBNY, many companies were prepared for what was coming, right? They saw growth slowing. They started cutting jobs before they had to, right? And then they added more jobs to cut. So cutting down on OPEX, cutting down on capital expenditures, well before a recession hits. And then what happens if a recession never hits?
Higher.
Yeah. So it's just stuff to watch, right? And ultimately, for me, that's the theory. And JP Morgan's earnings report was fantastic. I don't think you could have asked.
Wells Fargo wasn't as great. Citi actually was pretty good. The reaction on old shitty bank. BlackRock I thought looked pretty decent.
Yeah, Black does look.
What's up, Randy? Randy's here, our board member on the Global Foundries board. We appointed him.
So the one thing what I noticed about the Qs, right, is in 2022, if you go to the weekly pattern and you have the 20 and the 50 week moving average, the SMA, it was death after it crossed down. Those two crossed down.
And EMA elitist, maximalists, no SMAs except for the 200 over here, GP.
That's fine. When you get a chance to chart it, take a look at it. We in end of March 2022, we had the 20 cross below the 50. Right, that rejection candle and then the follow through rejection candle.
Yeah,
that was the cross of the 2050. And last week we just got the 20 crossing back above the 50. So over a year after it crossed down, it is crossing back up here. So something to take note of maybe it all fails again this week, and you guys are right about 4,200 being the solid rock wall that's going to stop things. But with the 20 to 50 crossover, Nick, and the 3 weeks tight, which is even in crappy
3 weeks tight, drink.
It's there, and of course it can fail at any point in time, but it's there. The setup's there.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, where are you looking at this? SPY or the Qs?
I'm just jumping around.
I was gonna say, yeah, I think where we're kind of heading on the Qs is 370. I think we'll run into a little bit of resistance there.
So 335 is going to be the one that's going to have to be taken out with.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And if that gets taken
I wouldn't
out,
be surprised if they gap, if they like, I don't know, they fuck around a while, and then I wouldn't be surprised if we saw like a gap over that. Not even.
Yeah, that could happen too. But I think we're getting a lot of that now, personally.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, for sure.
And our baby Netflix reports this week, so it should be the way Netflix goes is the way the market goes.
What a stinker this week, though.
No, yeah, sort of.
Yeah,
3 week tight.
It was disappointing.
Right on the 50 day or 10 week.
So Netflix typically runs into earnings, right? And for
I had a hot investment tip that I took, and boy, did it fail.
It did. It did. The whole $150 of it, I think, right?
15.
$15?
Yeah, $15. Because it was a nickel when I bought it.
Okay. Yeah, it looked so promising, and then it just like
Sorry, we're playing inside baseball. GP was like, "Hey, I'm not gonna say anything, but what if?" And I was like, "All right, I've got $15 of gambling money.
Yeah,
This is not investment advice."
it wasn't.
What's the saying? The outcomes, whatever. I don't know. Anyway, it is earnings week for your baby Netflix. I just wasn't impressed with the week last week. I mean, it didn't need to go crazy or anything, but I did want to see it, have a better week than the week before.
I was so happy with all the 3 week tight closes last week.
Yeah,
3 week tight drink.
Yep.
I do like the 3 weeks tight. I don't
Drink.
I don't
got
think
an Apple,
earnings.
Google.
I just don't think earnings is going to do it for Netflix. I think it's going to be something else. I think too many people are going to be trying to YOLO some calls on Netflix on a gap to like 600 or some nonsense like that, and I just don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
So
what week is that? Why can't I get the? What is that?
I'll be happy if that happens and not the other way.
I don't know. When you see a bar like that one on, looking at the weekly, that April 18th bar of last year, like how big and nasty that is. And we've been hovering around that, just absorbing all of it. I don't know.
I hear you, but it is the only stock that hasn't filled that kind of gap, right? For someone that was strong way before anything else was, if you look at the if not just the April 18th bar, take a look at it on a quarterly basis. The quarterly high was 396, and we can't take that out.
Quarterly high. Let's see here.
Right? So we had 3 weeks, 3 quarters to try to get above that, and it just refuses. Yeah. So it's
Weak
just something
sauce.
to keep on. Huh?
It's weak sauce. Can't get above it. Weak sauce.
Yeah.
I would rather buy some light sweet crude oil.
It's 3 inside quarters if you actually look at it, right? Could also be a
3/4 tight drink.
Not tight. just inside quarters.
I know.
But yeah, so like I'm not sure if earnings is gonna break it out because they'd have to show some insane numbers for that to happen.
Who else reports this week?
Lots and lots.
We got Netflix, we got Tesla, we got, what am I missing? Taiwan Semi. We've got,
Speaking of Buffett,
yeah,
he cleared out.
Yeah, he exited. Morgan Stanley. Well, the rest of the banks report this week. We had our first tranche on Friday. Charles Schwab
Yes.
before the open in the morning. So I will be eyes peeled on that. I almost exited my position of Charles Schwab to see what happened on earnings, but you guys know I like to live life on the wild side. So I just said I'll stay put.
Nice. I think ASML is going to be a big one for the chip sector.
ASML's out there.
What was the Interactive Brokers ticker?
The home builders are out there.
IKBR.
Oh, IK. That's what it was. Okay.
DR Horton reports on Thursday. Some airlines, it looks like Lockheed
J&J
Martin.
on Tuesday.
Yeah, there's some names. There's some names out there. I think everybody's waiting for the following week. But yeah, it's still a big week this week. The rest of your banks are out there. So yeah.
Yep. But yeah, ASML is the one I'm going to be watching because that's going to be with semis acting kind of
Weak.
It's one to be watching here.
Yep, Simi's been acting a little weak. You guys know I keep my thumb on the pulse. I couldn't resist another little taste of my old Soxel at 1550 on Friday. So just sell high, accumulate a little lower. But yeah, not the best looking chart right now in Simi land.
I like the inverted hammer, 2 inside weeks, lower volume. I like what it looks like personally, but a lot of people are talking about its weakness. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, you look at the components, they don't look so great. Like NVIDIA doesn't look great.
AMD looks good though.
Yeah, AMD does look decent. It does, yeah. Decent, not great, decent. TSM does not look good. Intel.
Mu looks good. Micron, Jesus.
Does it? I haven't looked.
Yeah.
Does it? Wow.
Yeah.
Nice little rounded bottom there. You know what? That does not look bad at all.
Yes, and the fact that the earnings sell off on some random news didn't destroy it, and it's right back above that earnings week close, I think and it's above the wedge. It's good, but when Micron runs, everything else dies.
Yeah, that's true to that. Hey, Randy, how are you feeling about your global foundries? Give us a scoop, Randy. We know you're on the board. We put you there.
We shall wait for him.
We will wait on his response. Nick brought it up earlier, but old Biddy actually took a turn here while we were on the call. We were well above 30 when we started this little chit chat, and we had a big dumpy dump while we've been schmoozing around. Look at that; it's still dumping. 29 is not a surprise. I don't think I want to see a close under 28 for the week, though. This week's over, so we're on a new week. I think if we get below this range right here on a closing basis, that would not be positive.
Yeah. What do you think of Costco?
Yeah. Kind of flat, right? On some bad
and high
on some bad reporting, right? That they were a little weak. Not bad reporting. The report was correct. poor
Sales
report.
were negative for the first time in like 3 years or something.
Yeah, so little underwhelmed, I think.
But it didn't break down.
It didn't break down. It did not. It did not break down. So I still kind of like it. Yeah, I think, what was it, last week or 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
We said we liked it around this 450 area or against that. I think that's kind of where you want to try to see if you can snag it. At least that's where I would want to see if I could snag it. But I don't know. We'll see. It could turn up right here.
Yeah.
We
The
had a
other
couple
one that
fresh- we had a
the
couple
other one that
fresh-
keeps staring me in the face is Exact Sciences, and it just does, it goes nowhere, right? But it looks so, it's just, yeah, it just looks so ready to,
We love Kathy.
it just looks so ready, but it's just not going anywhere. It's like 32 weeks tight, Nick.
Yeah, drugs need to start moving, I think, for all this, and like definitely the IWM for a lot of this more speculative stuff, I think, to start moving.
Yeah.
For sure.
I think coin looks good.
Dude,
Anyone
all
look at
the Riot, Mara, MSTR, all the crypto space shit ripped last week.
Yeah,
Except
Gaga
for
Papa
coin.
wanted us to look at MSCR.
Yeah, except for coin.
I mean, it's kind of what you want to see. Like, it's not too hot on the RSI. It's above all the key moving averages, right? Like 9's crossing over, the 20 will cross over soon enough. So kind of what you want to see, Gaga Papa. GP's on coin. You know, if crypto goes higher, coin goes higher, right?
Yep.
If you look at the daily, that gap down on the Wells notice, the high was 70, and we literally got to 70 and spent 4 days just going sideways and closed right under 70. So it could easily break down because it couldn't retake 70.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't break down, the gap to 77-ish could be filled. But if Bitcoin's dumping already, then maybe not.
Breaking down right now.
Well, I mean, let's put it in perspective. We're down 1.6% on the day, and the day just started for Bitcoin. So let's not get crazy here. I mean, right? Like, we know how this shit moves. Like, we've had, during this 3-week period, we had basically 7 to 8% high to lows in the week, just right here. So let's not shit our britches over 1.6% either way.
I think BTC. I think 25,000 is the floor. Even as low as like 22,000, I think. In terms of what I'd like to see it hold. I'm looking at a weekly chart.
Yeah, this is the weekly.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so I'm thinking 25 2, 25 4.
I did do a little work on BTC Friday. I'll share it here. There were a lot of people that I saw on the old stock twits and other social media networks that were saying number 1 and number 2 here were the same. They're not the same. They're not even close to the same.
Why? How? I'm so tired of people's
The analogs. Yeah,
God,
no.
yeah. Like,
Yeah, and I just had to share it. Like, they're so not even close to being the same. You know, you can cherry pick this section being this section all you want, but they're not the same, and the reasons are here. Like, I wrote them down here. You can read them. So I did a little homework over the weekend, and like, I'm honestly tired of the agendas, right? Like, it's not like you can be bearish, great. You can be bullish, awesome. But as we've said 1,000 times, like, it's the market that you have, not the one you want. And, you know, I think we do a pretty good job of calling it down the middle. I mean, GP's a little overly bullish sometimes, but we have to snap him into shape when he's wrong. That was a joke. Anyway, I just feel like
Yeah.
there's too many agenda-driven folks out there that, quite frankly, they're talking their book more than they're talking what they're actually seeing on the chart.
I tell you one thing I have not missed seeing on the Twitter Twatter Stock with Fear is like everyone's quote unquote deep dive. Like anytime I saw someone write deep dive, I immediately just deleted. I'm like, I don't want it. I'm not. It's the one thing I have not missed.
I don't need 47 tweet threads here. Okay?
I know. Get out of here.
If you can't sum it up in maybe 2 tweets,
who are you trying to convince? Like, come on.
TGTX from Dubs. Go ahead, GP.
All that stuff is just right. Like, the analogs just don't make any sense. I think I just saw a new one, 1988. I'm like, what is going on? In 1988, we're nowhere where we are now, right? Like, price patterns repeat, but economic conditions are different. So we're in all kinds of the people are like, they're talking about the presidential cycle, and then there's a recession, and then there's the central bank digital currency. And I'm like, what is the price telling you? Price is telling you we're stuck. We've been stuck for over a year. So whatever thesis you have, it should be sideways.
Do you follow that super grumpy ass old man?
Old fucking guy.
Yeah. Oh my God. He is so. I mean, it's almost. It's sad actually. Just because you can tell he's just as angry as whoever it is that he's chirping at, but. I don't know. I just found him. I've been finding him somewhat fascinating to kind of just follow along, I guess, a little bit.
I did years ago,
okay.
Nick, but then he posts so much that I ended up losing. I end up losing valuable information from people I do follow.
Yeah,
so I had to unfollow him.
I mute back and forth. I go back and forth.
I just can't when my feed is like one awesome chart and then like 32 responses to trolls.
Yeah,
I just can't. It clogs my stream, and I just don't need that in my life ultimately.
Yeah, sure,
I like people who are objective. And his thing is, you're poor, I'm rich.
Yeah,
and I just don't align with that thought process. There's a lot of rich people who suck at trading the markets, and there's a lot of poor people who are really intuitive about the markets, and they're just trying to build their portfolios, right? So like,
right.
I don't align. As I get older,
he's new to me,
so needs to be taken out.
Yeah, for sure. I had never come across his account before, and so anyways, he's new to me.
Yeah, and that's fine. You'll enjoy it for a little while and be like, yo, this is just too much.
Mute, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Anyways,
sorry. We did have one request. TGTX, TG Therapeutics.
Yeah.
Definitely
squeezing higher.
Yeah. I mean.
Yeah, it's bio though, right?
It's
it
bio.
Looks good though. It looks good.
Good.
Oh wait, we didn't talk about Amazon
or any of the big cap, really.
AMZN.
This one has been punished.
Still got a hard on for fucking Micron. What's wrong with me?
It looks good, man. It's just Micron. That's the problem.
Fucking Micron.
But this has been so unloved for so long. It has, even Google got a good enough bounce.
Yeah.
And Amazon just gets nothing at all.
Amazon's going higher. That was still my one to like. Even though Micron might make me cheat on my girlfriend here, but
Amazon is up 37 cents in 3 years.
It sounds like an amazing. It sounds like a life-changing opportunity, an amazing investment.
And if you actually go back to 2018, it's up 30 It's down 2 cents from the peak in 2018.
Yeah. That's where my line is there.
Yep. And people are talking about bubbles, and I'm like, that don't seem like a bubble if something's gone sideways for 6 years, 5 years.
I think it's going to go. It reports in 2 weeks too.
They had massive cuts, right? They have been the pioneers of how to allocate capital for many decades now, right? So I'm sure they'll figure it out. When, don't know. But I thought it was fascinating looking at Amazon. They've doubled their revenue intake since 2018, and it's down 2 cents.
Well, we've talked about it a dozen times. If we've talked about it once, like you just pull out AWS and goddamn, there's the whole business.
Yeah.
But AWS doesn't get the same respect that, and I think the easiest way for Amazon to get respect is if they introduced a nominal dividend personally, but it changes the entire landscape of what investors join, right?
Yeah,
If a company's paying a dividend, that's my personal opinion, but they rather take that money that they have and allocate it into their business because they've done much better doing it that way, right? So
all right. Well, we like what we don't like. I already said I'm sticking with Amazon, and I don't like gold. GP.
what I don't like, I did not like the utilities.
The XLU?
XLU, yeah.
The XLU? Yeah, not a fan.
Did not like
Yeah.
that. I actually like NVIDIA. Everyone's hoping for a breakdown and it just doesn't. Maybe things are rolling over, or maybe it just goes sideways while they turn back up, right?
I think ultimate bullish would be major gap down on EPS and it all gets bought up. I think that'd be amazing to see.
Yeah. There's a lot to like each week, but nothing moves, Bags.
Yeah.
Well, that's
We're
gonna
just
change.
stuck. So
That's gonna, you know, we this is the month of 60-30-10 rule, which is earnings plays. 60% downside, 30% nothing, 10% upside surprise. So we might be in that 30 piece is a little bit bigger right now, just with earnings. And I just can't stop looking at Micron. I'm sorry. I want to study. I want to study Micron all night now.
over 66.91, I think is the number.
What do you like? And you can't say Micron, GP.
That's unfortunate. I also like I like Baba.
Still on the Baba train.
So like that was every opportunity. The SoftBank, one of their biggest investors,
Offloading.
Offloading,
Yeah.
and it did not break below the gap, right? It held the 20 day to the exact point. There was a lot of volume and it didn't break down, right? And so, and then you have the 20 crossing back over the 50 here. So I really like the structure in what's going on here. I was hoping it was going to be cleaner like NVIDIA, but it's Baba, right? It hasn't been clean in its existence. So yeah, but I like what it's on when you get presented with bad news, right? Like China, there's news that China's recovery is not going well, so that's why I kind of sold off. And then off that sell-off was also, they also had the AI introduction and sold off on that. And then you had the SoftBank key, another like 3 major bad news pieces, and it didn't break the gap lower. So one to watch if it continues to hold this gap. I think the move is higher eventually with Baba, but Baba is a gap central stock. It doesn't organically just move. It's always news related.
Nicholas, like and don't like.
There's a lot I like. I like Google and Apple and Microsoft of all the big cap tech names. Amazon's probably my least favorite, even though I do like it. I love VRTX. I love ISRG. Some of
Palo
the
Alto
smaller
Networks,
ones.
he loves.
Yes, love Pan. Yes, love PANW. The cheaper ones I've been obviously watching IoT, Roblox, AXON, and then same thing with LNTH or
Some
also on the top.
Axon, huh?
AXON, yeah.
Yeah, Axon.
I like how it's on the weekly, it's basically holding right up here above all-time highs, and it's just nice and tight. Yeah, through 230, I'd say snag little.
What don't you like, Nicholas?
Pretty much kind of with you. Gold and I'll just say commodities in general. Although I do like a lot of
you can say SLV.
Yeah.
Actually, that doesn't look bad.
SLV did look good, didn't it? I did look at that last week, but
It's a little hot, but yeah, I think it's probably coming down, but it doesn't look as bad as I'm not trying to piss people off.
No, that was a pretty nasty outside bar in silver itself. If you go to the daily.
Yeah, it broke down there.
Yeah.
I like the crypto names too: Riot, Mara, and Mister. So actually, there's quite a
Mister.
Yeah, there's a lot that I kind of am liking right now. I'd love.
There's
a lot of
Nicholas is full on bull.
Yeah, I am bulled up. I do think that the trend has definitely changed. I'd love to see some weakness come in like next week, but I want to see it get bought up. Like I want to see some names like get sold off, maybe post EPS or whatever, some gap downs, and see them get bought up, get those gaps filled, and kind of prove their strength. Or if we gap higher, I want to see those gaps hold. I don't want to see them. I either want to see gap and goes or gap downs and get those gaps filled right away. It would add fuel to my bullish thesis.
It would.
So the opposite of the last year, right? We gap.
Yeah, absolutely.
We gap down.
Yeah.
And keep going.
We gap up and we immediately fill, right? Almost every earnings report, every gap up was sold.
Yeah.
Hey Nick, just go get you some bug.
Yeah, dude.
Go get you some bug.
Just
own them all.
What was I gonna say? I lost my train of thought. No, I'm not. I don't want to. I'm not into. If I was going to be in any ETFs, it would just be the Qs and the SPYs right now. Maybe even some of Kathy's names. I'd rather be in individual names.
Art G, Art K.
I think it was which one? There's one that looked way better than the other ones. I can't remember which one it was though.
Art.
Was it F? Eric?
That's
no,
the
not.
Financials. FinTech.
Yeah. Either way.
Art
Yeah, I'd rather be in the Qs or the SPYs if I was
internet.
ETF.
The amount of times they sell the 200-day on Art K is just nuts.
I know.
Just Jesus.
You know what? You might as well just buy the ARC X and really lotto play it.
Wow. This might make a move. I'm gonna have to get I'm gonna start drinking out of my In Kathy We Trust mug, I believe.
She's gonna make a return, and it's gonna be
It's going to be absolutely hellacious, isn't it? Like she is going to just fucking ride off into the moon.
If she stops buying T-Doc, she's got to stop buying T-Doc.
She's going to make that high of 159.70 look like chicken scratch. Randy says pave. What is pave? Infrastructure. Hey, that's not a bad call, Randy.
Oh,
Randy's
wow.
always dropping the jewels on us. You know that? Randy's always dropping the jewels. Look at that. Look at
the freaking potholes up here in the cities, I tell you, like they're gonna be doing some work this year, that's for sure.
Am I the only one that sees distribution on this chart?
Yeah, that's why once I got to a different time frame, Randy, you might be wrong on this one. I'm not crazy about it, Randy. After I look at the monthly and the weekly, not as crazy as I once was, Randy. Randy, you're on watch.
It held, it's holding the what is it, the 200 day, 2 and 300 day, 30 and 40 week, 200 day.
This is a great question. What are the advantages of ETFs over individual stocks? Well, if you don't have time to stock pick and you want to be in the market, you can pick out some of these ETFs and just buy the whole cohort, whether it's like Bug, which is the entire cybersecurity sector, or the Qs, which is all of the NASDAQ 100. So you can either do it by large market, right? The SPY or the VOO, that's S&P 500. You could do like the XLG, which is the top 50 in the S&P 500. What else is there? There's all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, IBB, the XBI. Speaking of which, did I mention VRTX? Or I don't know if I.
Yeah, you did.
Okay, good.
So here's my advantage, right? Like, if on March 8th you bought 100 shares of SIVB and 100 shares of the SPY, you are down $26,000 on SIVB, but you're up incrementally on SPY. So, just like
sure.
from a perspective of individual companies, they have the risk of failing to zero at any point in time. Indices or ETFs in general are designed to go up and to the right over the longer period of time, right? So you're not going to wake up to the Qs or the SPY being zero tomorrow. You might lose 10% in a day or 20% in a day, like the 1987 crash or whatever, but you're not going to buy it. Huh?
But you buy
you're buying the safety of having a whole cohort of stocks, right? Like for the cyber security sector, like you could, buy Palo Alto and it could go through the moon or it could go through the shitter, or you can say it's too hard for me to understand which one of these companies I want to be in. I want to buy them all, right? So you just buy the entire sector. You can do that with the stock market too. So there's VTI, which is Vanguard's total stock market. So you can buy the entire stock market as opposed to just the S&P 500 or the NASDAQ 100 or the IWM, which is the Russell. Those are the small cap names. So there's.
Or we can also look at like the new spaces, right? Like if you had bought EV names, right? And if the EV name wasn't Tesla, you're not doing well, right? So like Lucid and Rivian and all these ones are not doing well, right? It's when they come into the cycles, it's important. There's a lot of things that have to happen. But if there was an EV ETF, you're probably doing better than holding those individual names, right?
The question is, are they better for long-term investment? I mean, it depends what you're comparing against, right? So as GP's pointing out, if you bought Tesla 4 years ago, you're much better than if you just bought an EV sector ETF, right? Yep. So, but you could have also bought Rivian and you'd be much worse than the EV sector ETF, right? So there's pros and cons to buying or being a stock picker. The biggest thing is if you're right, you're reaping the maximum reward for being right. If you're wrong, you're reaping the worst, losses for being wrong. And if you buy the SPY, right, you're not just buying one company in the S&P 500, whatever company that is that you might want to invest in. And that one company could beat the market, or the S&P 500 could beat it. So it just depends how you look at it. I would say for most people, investing in the Qs or investing in the SPY or the VOO, that's because you don't want to take the time to have to buy individual names and take the time to learn what's happening in the market. You're buying the safety of all the other 499 names or all the 199 names that are with you.
And like when it comes to so I think it has to fit your personality, it's your risk profile. There's a lot of things to assess. We're not financial. We are
not financial advisors.
We are not financial. We're just talking. I
We're
think
the farthest thing from financial.
yeah. and I think there's an allocation strategy that probably makes sense to have some of your cash or whatever free cash, investing cash in the sectors because they are designed right. Like SIVB went bankrupt and it was out of the S&P within 3 days, right? Like they smoked it out. SPNY smoked it out, right? Like they got replaced immediately. So underperformers and then there's things like at times when ExxonMobil, I think they got taken out of the Dow, and that opened up ExxonMobil.
Yeah.
Right. It's the allocation strategies of big banks and big funds change when things get removed from indices as well, right? And then I think Salesforce got added to the Dow, and that's underperformed while Exxon is outperformed. So you gotta find what works for you and talk to a financial advisor so they can give you.
It's really what your risk profile is, right? Yep. At the end of the day, and that's for all of us, whether you have a large account or a small account. It's all what your risk profile are. You know, you can lose $10,000 just as quickly as you can lose $100 in this game. And that's the reason why we're not financial advisors, because we win and lose all the time. And we're not taking on that risk for you. You got to decide and do what's right for yourself.
Yep. We're just three guys talking about what we see, right? That's all. So it's really. Yeah.
And our experiences. I think we talk about our experiences, but it's based on what we've done in our lives, right? Not what we're suggesting anyone else do.
Yep. I know a lot of guys too that will use like pure equity traders that will use the ETFs to hedge on a daily basis as well if they are trading individual names.
There's so many strategies.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
It's just we're not the right people to be answering the question, to be honest, right? I can give you advice on what I think a chart looks like, but that's about it.
That's right. And it's perception. Like if you've listened to us for any amount of time, we can agree on charts and we can definitely disagree on the way we think chart look. All right, guys, with that, nice little extra overages there. Randy, we're gonna keep your feet to the fire on PAVE here.
I've already added to my watch list.
We're gonna put it on the watch list.
I did too.
This one might go down in Gush history for our homeboy Nick there, but
it's an ETF though, so maybe not.
We'll see. Who knows? But thanks, guys. Thanks for the
Gush
little
over.
What?
No, don't do it, Nick. Don't do it. Just don't do it.
I'll go for it, Nick. We'll pull up Gush. We'll look at it. How's it going?
I mean, looking at the daily, I'm just saying, if the it looks like everything else.
I have to squint to see the daily. The weekly disappears. So in general, these are known to decay every day, right? They reset. Yeah. So these are designed to go to zero every few years, and it'll have its pops and stuff, but these are designed to dissolve and they just reverse split it. If you're looking at the chart of the Gush on a monthly basis, take a look at it.
Yeah.
Go to zero. it looks like Labu.
A little bit, yes.
A little bit, he said. Anyway, hey, while we've got a bunch of people here, please like, comment, subscribe. We appreciate when you do that.
If you know what we ought to, or if people want to chirp out at least throughout the week or going into the weekend, individual names, I'd be happy to go through a whole bunch of setups if people are interested in that. So just throwing it out there.
Nice, Nick. It's very nice of you.
Sure.
That would be awesome. That'd be awesome. And one thing I think I'm going to do, just for some inside baseball, since we're already late, I think I want to clip up some of our talking points of the show and try to do that. Just like little mini bites, some YouTube shorts, maybe. We'll see. there's a lot of things I need to do, but I think I'm gonna try to start doing that. Anyway, we just want to provide content that you guys enjoy. We really appreciate everyone who has followed us for any amount of time, and anyone who tunes into our show weekly. We've been having pretty good correspondence with you guys and people watching over the last few weeks. So we really appreciate that. So when you like, comment, and subscribe, that just helps us. That just encourages us. That helps YouTube highlight our stuff. So we appreciate that. But guys, as always, I appreciate you gentlemen. Nick, my brother, Gautam, my brother, Gautam, my brother.
Much love, Bags. Much love.
My guys. But thanks, y'all. We'll see you same time.